Kieran Mullooly are all understood to have polled well. But there could be a battle for the fifth and final seat here. The final result will probably happen towards the end of the week, and it'll be no laughing matter if the count runs until Friday, because comedian Jarlath Regan is due to take to the stage for a sold-out gig in the TF Royal on Friday night. Barry White in Castlebar.
Tributes continue to be paid to James Jimmy McKinney, who lost his life in a crash in the Moville area in the early hours of yesterday morning. The 25-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene after being struck in a car in the Ballynally area at about 1:30 a.m. yesterday. Mr McKenna was seriously injured in a crash 7 years ago. Father Francis Bradley, Buncrana Parish priest, says he was someone who loved returning home to his family.
Jimmy was a fun-loving 25-year-old, could we say, and he seems to have enjoyed life to the full. He was spoilt rotten by his parents. He lived here with his father.
Greg, will I fire any of these jingles, or will I do the sting and then
just do a handover? Yeah, so we'll go back for for an update. Yeah,
okay. Just all Michelle and James and John Paul and Catherine and Caroline are all just heartbroken.
Part of the A5 is closed this afternoon. The Great Northern Way at Newton Stewart has been closed in both directions due to a lorry on fire. Emergency services are at the scene working to extinguish the blaze, and diversions are in place with delays expected. Police in Derry are appealing for witnesses and information about a single vehicle collision in the city-bound lane of the Foyle Bridge this morning. It's reported that at 10 to 6, 3 males made off of the vehicle, a black Volkswagen Passat, after it reportedly hit central reservation and traffic cones. Anyone who captured footage of the collision or knows the whereabouts of those involved is asked to contact police. And finally, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in the Middle East. He's hoping to deliver the ceasefire of the US President Joe Biden proposed last month to secure an end to the Gaza war. Speaking after meeting Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in Cairo, Mr Blinken says Hamas was the only side that had yet to agree a ceasefire proposal, which Washington says Israel has already accepted. We'll go hand over now to Greg Hughes, who's over in the Aura Leisure Centre for a latest update from Letterkenny. Greg, how's it going?
Thank you very much, Donna Marie. Of course, yesterday here, what we thought was happening was Donald Mandy Kelly topping the poll, Thomas Sean Devine of the 100% Redress Party elected, Jerry McMonigal, Kieran Brogan, Jimmy Kavanagh, Michael McBride and Donald Coyle. They were all to be confirmed as elected, but as it transpired, things got incredibly tight, and just ahead of that count being declared, it had emerged that Mary T. Sweeney of Aintu was on 1,010 votes. Kevin Bradley, non-party independent, was on 1,015 votes, and that was crucial. As if Mary T. Sweeney was to be eliminated at that point, obviously her race would be run. If Kevin Bradley were to be eliminated, then his votes would be distributed, and that could have, and it is only speculation, it could have elevated Mary T. Sweeney above Donald Coyle into the 7th position, therefore getting that last seat. So a recount was called for. That demand was acceded to. And here we are. But we are no further on as such. But we just wanted to update you, obviously, because sometimes you have to come in with no information at all so people know what's going on. Trudy O'Donnell is with me, and we're not going to take up too much time here. And that's not to Trudy, that's just to David James's fans. Trudy, what, as much as we can determine, has happened so far this morning and into this afternoon?
Well, they have been counting since basically they have stopped now. They've finished that whole recheck of what has been previously counted from yesterday and last night. And it doesn't look like there has been any major change whatsoever, as we would have expected, considering how thoroughly they did count yesterday into the early hours of this morning. From what I can determine, and again, it's not fact until things are announced here, Mary T did gain 2 votes. Through minor error, and as well as that, Kevin Bradley did gain a vote, which does close the gap now to 4 votes, but still leaves Kevin Bradley those 4 votes ahead of Mary T. So I would anticipate, unless something else has happened, people are keeping their cards very, very close to their chests here, but I would anticipate that on the next announcement we will hear Mary T being eliminated, and at that point her votes then will be distributed.
Okay, so in terms of the procedure, are you saying the heavy lifting of that has been done now, and really
yes.
they're just double checking things,
Yeah.
and we're heading towards a formal announcement? There was some talk of a pile of votes maybe being misattributed. It's not going to affect.
No.
It's not going to affect the core matter that triggered this check. Will it affect? Do we know the order in which people are elected?
No, that won't. I did get clarification on that. There was one bundle of 50 votes for one candidate misplaced in another candidate's bundle, but all of those have been counted in the right. The tallies are exactly the same, the official numbers. So in the bundle that they were found, there wasn't an extra 50 added on to that candidate. On the bundle that they were for that candidate, they had already been added in. So that has been clarified, so it won't affect any of the other orders of the elected councillors that have already been deemed elected.
And just in terms of a recount, right,
Yeah.
a full recount. So a couple of people have texted in recently saying, hi Greg, do you have any idea what time the first count will be in the recount? It's not really quite like that, is it? We aren't going through
No.
all the procedures that we went through yesterday. That's not what a
No.
recount in this instance means.
So the next step will be, last night we had count number 12, and at that point it was just about to be a case of one of the next candidates were going to be eliminated, and at that point it was stopped. So the next announcement we will get will be the end of that count 12, which will eliminate either Mary T. Sweeney or Kevin Bradley. That's the next count. So they don't start from count 1, they will continue on from, as far as I know, prove me wrong, but as far as I know, they will continue on from where they ended last night. The full recheck has been done today. They've been counting since 10 o'clock here this morning.
And in terms of satisfying the concerns of Mary T. Sweeney, is this run past her? I mean, obviously
Yes.
her and her team have been scrutinised this,
Very much so,
this whole
yeah.
time. But there is no mechanism, is there, for her to say, listen, let's go back right to the very beginning because, you know, we found votes here and there. This is the process done and dusted, as far as we're aware, Trudy.
As far as I'm aware, and to be honest, it's not something that I could give you clarification
Yes.
on, but I think Mary T has been here since first thing this morning, since the first ballot paper came out, and her and her team have been on every single box, checking absolutely everything at every table. So I think they've been working very hard. There's been other candidates there as well, other councillors in checking things as well, just to ensure everything is in order. So I doubt that even if there is a full recount called, I very highly doubt it will be granted.
And so very finally, as much as we can determine, and things have changed all weekend and can change again, when do you expect that 12th count to be delivered and thus rendering this election here over?
Well, to be honest, no, the 12th count won't render it finished, because after the 12th count was last night, a candidate will be eliminated.
And then we have
the distribution.
Mary T's votes.
Or Kevin Bradley.
Okay,
we're estimating that it will be Mary T. We will have the distribution, and at that stage then that will determine the next candidate obviously to be elected, which is the seat number 7.
Yes.
And hopefully then we will see the other candidates that are due to be deemed elected. And again, just anticipating the results. At the minute, we still have Mary T 106 behind Donal Coyle. We have Kevin Bradley 101 behind Donal Coyle. So they need to pick that up, plus add on as well what they might get from the distribution of the candidate that will be eliminated. So they need double what Donal Coyle basically will get in the transfers from the distribution.
Trudy, thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome.
I really
Thank
do
you, Greg.
appreciate it. That's Trudy O'Donnell, who is working closely with some of the teams in here and keeping her eye on that process for us. So that is the update. We should have something a little bit firmer for you in the not too distant future. So stay tuned to Highland Radio. Keep an eye on our social media as well, where we'll be updating at the same time there. And there are some interviews still to be done as part of this process. But for now, it's back to the studio.